If you guys remember, a few weeks back I made a video saying that majority of people are stupid. That exists in the realm of sports as well. Majority of sports fans are straight up dummies. Alright, I personally believe only 5 to 10% of sports fans actually understand the game of football, whether they played it before, coached before, or just genuinely understand the game. Because there's a lot of fans who just, they play Madden, they cheer for their team, they're biased, and they just go into every game, and when stuff doesn't go their way, they make all these outrageous claims. They'll only look at statistics. They don't watch the game, and they'll come to a conclusion like that. Like even people who work on ESPN, Fox Sports, all that other stuff, the network, even on NFL Network, in every aspect of sports, really, whether it's NBA, MLB, all them other sports that are out there, all of the commentators and the analysts, some of them are full of it too, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Just because you're getting a check to, fill this professional seat doesn't mean that you're at the top of your game. More importantly, because they have to pay somebody to debate back and forth. So when somebody sounds like a straight up idiot, sometimes you could say maybe this is the role they're supposed to play, or this is how they truly feel. Like if you were to listen to somebody like Skip Bayless, you'd be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Because he'll be right perfectly about football for like 20%, and the other 80s he's just off his rocker. But then majority of fans, that's what it is. All right, like when we break down certain things about sports, like for example, with the Patriots, right? A lot of the Patriots fans will say, oh, everybody hate us because they want to be us and all that. In a sense, yes, because you want to be the pinnacle of success. This half of the millennium, or not even really this half of the millennium, this entire millennium, really, since 2000, no team has been better than the New England Patriots. All right, they have been the best team in the NFL. They've been a dynasty in the NFL. They win this Super Bowl. That's 2 dynasties where they win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Now, majority of the dissension from the people on the outside, they just hate winners. And in life, majority of people just hate winners because they're not winning. That's just the case. However, when it comes to the claims about the refs, here's the thing with the refs. It's not, oh, the refs are winning the game for the Patriots. Those who really understand football understand why there's claims of the refs. It's the 50-50 calls. The 50-50 calls this entire year, they all went towards the Patriots. I'm not saying that's the reason why the Patriots win games, because it's not. Having played football before in high school and college, both of the teams that I played for, I don't know what it was, but every game we went into, the refs would hit us with some next sort of call that they would throw. It'd be a ridiculous flag. I'll never forget in high school, my senior year, we are 6-1 at this point, playing at home. Homecoming, I might add. It's overtime. The defensive end who was in front of me, I believe I was on the left side of the field. He came off the edge. He sacked the quarterback. They called roughing the passer on a sack. It was 3rd and 17. They called roughing the passer on a sack. That moved them up 15 yards. They had it 1st and 10 again. Roughing the passer on a sack. Just take that into consideration. When I was in college, they called offensive pass interference on a 3rd and 1. When we ran the ball. How is it offensive pass interference when you run the ball? I hate officials, period. But here's the problem with majority of fans are if their team was getting the 50-50 calls, they would be silent. But it's because it's not their team that they get the calls. And for the Patriots fans, it's almost the same thing. Like when we're talking about the catch, right? Me being a Steelers fan, you don't see me talking about, had Jesse James get the call that way, man, we wouldn't even be playing Jacksonville. No, that's not the case. I don't speak like that because I've played football before. I understand sports. It doesn't matter what call you get. You still got to take care of business. You still got to go out there and play football. Does it change the game? Yes, it does. But at the end of the day, you got to beat the man who's across from you. And if you don't do that, there ain't no damn excuses. If you allow the zebras to dictate the game, man, you let it happen. Because you control you. So if they make a bad call on 1st down, guess what? On 2nd down, take care of business so you don't got to worry about that 1st down no more. All right? In week 1, you had the pass to Gronk. I believe he caught the ball, and then they reviewed it, and it ended up being incomplete, right? Pats fans was like, man, that should have been a catch. That's messed up. That's a bad call by the referees. The Jesse James catch would have happened. It's like, hey, man, you got to follow the rules, man. That's one of the stuff that I can't stand. Like, for example, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I remember watching Super Bowl 40. I was very young watching it, but I said, man, the refs this is ridiculous. The call on that they called the touchdown back where Hasselbeck hit Jackson. I believe it was Jackson in the end zone. They call offensive pass interference. Those were one of those 50-50 sort of calls that probably shouldn't have been called. I understand why, but I wouldn't call it in the Super Bowl, but it got called. There was some bad calls that was inside of that game, but that's not the reason why Seattle lost. Yes, it does affect the game in a sense. It does, big time, all right? That should have been a touchdown that ended up being a field goal, but you still got to go out there and play. You still had the league MVP in your backfield who wasn't able to have as great as a game as he had all season. Those things have to be taken into account when we're talking about football, but majority of football fans don't really understand that. They'll look at one thing and say, man, oh, that's some bullshit. They cheating for him. That's the end of the game. Then the game with Jacksonville, where you had the helmet-to-helmet hit with Gronk and Barry Church, me personally, I wouldn't have thrown the flag. I don't think that's one of those situations where you throw the flag, but the way that football is now, you gotta throw that flag. So I understood that. The next one with the Boye, having played receiver and playing cornerback at a high level, I would say I probably don't make that call. I understand why they made the call, but then the way it looks, back-to-back plays, bringing it down the field, I don't make that call. But that's a judgment call by the referees, all right? But majority of football fans, they're going to sit over there and say, man, they cheating, they doing this, they doing that, they doing this. It's ridiculous to me when we're talking about who's the best receiver in the game, best running back in the game. Majority of people don't know what they're talking about. They'll look at statistics. Like, for example, when we're talking Julio Jones versus Antonio Brown, they'll look and say, well, if Julio Jones was getting as many targets as Antonio Brown, let me point something out to you. How the hell do you get targets? You get open. More importantly, your quarterback has to trust you if you're in double coverage. Like Calvin Johnson was still getting targets when he was triple covered, right? So are we going to fault Calvin Johnson for saying, oh, well, if Andre Johnson was getting the targets Calvin Johnson was getting, then Andre would be the best receiver in the game. But at the end of the day, you have to take with what it is that you're presented. Now, if you look at the statistics, Antonio Brown blows Julio Jones out of the water. Statistically, and if you watch the games, he has a bigger impact than Julio Jones does. That doesn't devalue what Julio Jones is, because a lot of people like to act like, oh, if you're number one, anybody under you is just straight up trash. Me saying Antonio Brown is the best receiver in the game doesn't mean Julio Jones is terrible. They're still number 1 and 2. DeAndre Hopkins is now in the conversation, of course, but I still have Julio above him. And then you have Odell and those other guys who are coming into the conversation of top 5 and stuff like that. But when I make that argument, and you were to go on national television, you make that argument, they present it as if Antonio Brown is the best or Julio's the best, all the other receivers are nowhere near them. That's one of the things that I don't like. Like when we're talking about quarterbacks, a lot of things have to be taken into consideration. Like when you say Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time, me personally, I'm a Peyton Manning fan. He's my favorite quarterback of all time, the way that he played offense and he changed the game. All right, but Tom Brady statistically, and if you look at the accolades, he's the best quarterback of all time, right? But there's many different things that have to be taken into consideration. Tom Brady has the benefit of being with Bill Belichick his entire career. Bill Belichick, without question, is the greatest coach of all time. So you have to take that into consideration when looking at the structure and the stability of the team. Now, when you took a Peyton Manning away and you had to start whoever the hell, what was it? Not Tolazine. He wasn't in the game. He wasn't there at that point. Was it Jim Sorgi or something like that in 2011? No, I think he was on the Giants. He was backing up or something. I can't remember who the starting quarterback was back in 2011 when Peyton Manning had the whole neck. He sat out the whole season. They went 2-14. When Tom Brady was out after the 2007 season, in 2008, Tom Brady going for the whole year in week 1, what happened? 11-5 with Matt Castle. There's a system that's there. That doesn't devalue the greatness that is Tom Brady. I believe Tom Brady is the great, when you look at the accolades, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But I would still take Peyton Manning ahead of him. That's not saying, oh, well, you hating on Brady. No, that's not hating on him. I'm just saying my personal opinion. For example, had Marino won one Super Bowl, he's the greatest quarterback of all time when he retired. But he didn't win a Super Bowl. Why? Because Super Bowls are team achievements. And one of the other problems that I have with most football fans is they'll look at games and they'll say it's this quarterback versus this quarterback and screw the other 52 people that are on the team. And I cannot stand that. Maybe I sound like I'm butthurt because I had played receiver, I had played cornerback when I was in college. We were going into games. We had the #1 defense in our damn conference going into the game, and they talking about quarterback versus quarterback like the defense ain't just go into this game week 8 with freaking 17 takeaways going in. Not 17 takeaways. We had 17 interceptions at the time. So I'm like, what the hell's going on over here? We're going in. It's a damn conference game. We're playing for the damn conference championship. We got the defense playing absolutely phenomenal. You're not mentioning them at all. You only mentioning the quarterback, and our quarterback was subpar. So they say you're going to lose because a quarterback can't win you games. But we got the #1 rusher in our conference too. It doesn't really make any sense to me. It really ticked me off. And I was playing receiver out there trying to catch balls too. I didn't catch too much, but I was on the field. But yeah, I can't stand it when they try, quarterback versus quarterback. By that logic, does that mean Jim Plunkett is one of the greatest quarterback of all time because he got himself 2 Super Bowl rings? Just screw the Giants defense and Otis Anderson, who was able to run the ball in Super Bowl 25. Oh no, it was Jeff Hostetler that was able to get the Giants to win over Jim Kelly and the Bills, right? No, I can't stand that. You got to stop with that. Oh, it's Brady versus Foles. No, it's the Eagles versus the Patriots. Don't marginalize the entire collective of what it is that the defense were doing. All right, and that's why I can't do, or the defense or the offense and the offensive line. Like they'll say the MVP trophy. The MVP trophy is for quarterbacks and running backs because they're not dependent, but they are dependent because a quarterback can't throw the ball if you don't have an offensive line. Look at Archie Manning. Archie Manning, had he had an offensive line when he was playing in New Orleans, this man could have been a Hall of Famer, but he was running for his life. That's why when we talk about greatest running backs of all time, I easily say Barry Sanders is #1, and then #2 is probably Jim Brown, Walter Payton, and then Emmitt Smith and those guys. Because Barry Sanders, you saw it on film. You don't just go, you're the number, when you retire, you're the number 3, what was he, #2 rusher of all time? He was right behind Walter Payton. He was a #2 rusher of all time, but he also led the NFL in negative yards because he was running for his life, and you saw it on film. He was legitimately the offense, in contrast to somebody like Emmitt Smith, who had the greatest offensive line of all time. That doesn't say Emmitt Smith isn't still great, because if you watched him on the field, this man was a monster. But when you look at what Barry Sanders had versus what Emmitt Smith had, it was crystal clear Barry Sanders was the better player. Put him on a situation where he's on a different team. Look at receivers: Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Steve Smith. Guys like this don't have Super Bowl rings, and they're some of the greatest receivers of all time. They don't have no Super Bowl rings. Look at different quarterbacks. Right now, you have somebody like Matt Ryan, who's going to end up being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but he doesn't have a ring. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to get back to the Super Bowl since 2010. Drew Brees hasn't been able to get back to the Super Bowl since 2009. Drew Brees, honestly, had he won, maybe, if he didn't have that historic bad defense with Rob Ryan and he'd been able to go back to maybe another Super Bowl or something like that, Drew Brees could easily be the greatest quarterback of all time. But he's underrated because, well, he don't got the hardware. He's not in the playoffs like that. But it's a team collective. Give Marino the defense that Montana had. Let's see how many Super Bowls that he won. Think about it. It's different factors that have to be taken into consideration here. Otto Graham went to 10 straight championships in the 40s through the 50s. They won 6, but we don't mention them. Oh, well, the competition and all this other stuff. But Unitas and all this other stuff, you'll talk about when he retired, greatest of all time. Oh, Starback retired, greatest of all time. But then look at the teams that they were on. They had benefit of being on one of those great teams. There's many other quarterbacks who never had that chance. There's many other players who never had that chance. So when we're talking about who's the best, there's many different, when you look at just their stats, then you could go on statistics alone and then say, all right, this person's better than this person, but then watch the games. Are they the factor why the team is winning, or is there external sort of stuff that's happening there? That's why I hate majority of fans and even majority of analysts that are on television, because they don't look at stuff from an objective opinion, right? And even with coaches, and then when we talk about greatest coaches of all time, you look at certain coaches who had the benefit of having just really great teams. Like Jimmy Johnson turned the Cowboys around. Him and Jerry Jones came in and turned them around. And then when you had Barry Switzer come in, he just walked on a team that happened to be good and said, all right, got himself a Super Bowl ring. We don't walk around and say Barry Switzer's a great coach of all time in the NFL, college football, of course, but in the NFL, we don't really hear that because we understand. But then when you look at somebody like John Gruden, we'll say, oh, John Gruden, he took over Tony Dungy's team. That's Dungy's team that won. So by that same logic, ain't that Gruden's team that ended up going to the Super Bowl to play against them? So if we're going to say, oh, John Gruden, he ain't that great of a coach because he took Tony Dungy's team, Tony Dungy couldn't get it done. Gruden was able to get them over the hump. More importantly, Callahan took over Gruden's team and went to the Super Bowl. So why don't we look at Callahan and say, well, you took Gruden's team, so how the hell can we say Gruden's an average coach? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I'm over here ranting. I'm getting upset because I was watching the First Take or something like that, and they were talking about, oh, the greatness of this team, greatness of that team. Even with the two Super Bowls, the past two Patriots Super Bowls. If you are an objective fan who understands football, I'll just put this question right here. Did the Seattle Seahawks win? Or I should say, did the Seattle Seahawks lose? Or did the Patriots win? Did the Falcons lose? Or did the Patriots win? If you look at that question and say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the Patriots won. They're the one who have the Super Bowl. You're one of the people who don't understand football. Because there's a choke job is done by the team that lost. Greatest comeback or something like that is done by the team that won, but the factors that are made by both the team that lose is what dictated the other team winning. For example, the Falcons were losing, they were giving the game away, but then they made the plays to get themselves back into the game when he was able to connect, when Ryan connected with Julio Jones. All you have to do is run the ball. The coach elected to pass after they ran on first down. I believe they were like 2nd and 11 or something, and then bam, back-to-back passes. Now it's freaking 4th and some 20, 30 something. You don't do that even in Madden. In the Seahawks one, you're on the inside the 5-yard line. Just run the ball. You possibly win the game because Marshawn Lynch was the greatest running back inside the 5-yard line, inside the red zone in the league at that point. But it was coaching woes that cost them the game. Now, am I going to say, oh, the Patriots didn't really earn the Super Bowl? It was given to them? No. But then if we're looking at the game through an objective lens, they don't win that game if the coach makes the right call. Now, the coach didn't make the right call. Ultimately, they win. That's not a fault on them. But if you're looking through a scope of being objective and just telling the truth, they don't win that game if it's a different coach who's calling the plays. It's almost the same thing when you look at different Super Bowls and stuff like that. Look at what's one of the Super Bowls that ended on the last play? It's escaping me. I'm running out of time. My damn film gonna run the hell out. Yeah, I use one of them cameras that got the film. No, it doesn't. It's a battery power. I'm gonna die. It's showing that it's red. It's blinking right now, so I probably get the hell up out of here. Go charge my battery. But yeah, that's my rant for today. Let me know what the hell you think regarding football fans. Do you hate majority of football fans? Because I hate majority of football fans. I can't stand them.
Oh, and P.S. for those who like to come on my videos and say, oh, you hate on the Patriots because you keep making jokes about the refs. You see the about section where it says a comedian? Yeah, they tell jokes. They tell jokes. That's the point, dummy! And PPS, no, it's not a delivery service. To the fans who are saying, oh, the Vikings had no business being in the NFC Championship because they won on a miracle. Bullshit, go fuck yourself. All right, because you win the game, you go on to the next round. The other team lost, bottom line. Okay, go tell the 2007 Giants they don't deserve to lift the Super Bowl trophy beating the undefeated Patriots because they had a miracle helmet catch. Go tell the Tennessee Titans they had no business getting to the Super Bowl on the Music City Miracle. Go tell the Dallas Cowboys in 1975 that won the damn game on a Hail Mary against the damn Vikings in 75 to go on to the Super Bowl to lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bullshit, man. In football, it doesn't matter how you win the damn game. All right? Because you could go tell the Browns right now who should have been in the Super Bowl in what was it, 87 where Fryer fumbled the ball? No, it wasn't Fryer. I can't remember what was his last name. I can't remember what it was. Where he fumbled the ball back-to-back AFC championships, they lost to the Broncos. Go tell the damn Broncos they ain't deserve to be in the Super Bowl because the dude fumbled the ball on the play. Well, they got blown out anyway. Just because you get blown out doesn't mean you don't deserve to be in the postseason. That just shows the greatness of the other team that played because they played better on that day. That's like telling the 2013 Broncos they had no business being in the Super Bowl because they got blown out by Seattle, but they were the greatest offense of all time. Come on, man. Sounds stupid, man. Sounds stupid. I hate fans like that. I can't stand that stuff. It's football, okay? There's no guarantee in football. Just because this team plays bad against this team doesn't mean a team that lost prior should be able to get into this game and now you can say, oh, well, this team would have played them better. They wouldn't have gotten blown out. Well, could've, should've, would've, but they ain't in the game because they got eliminated. They written down in the death note already, man. Get off your goddamn high horse. PSSS and the 72 Steelers, where they had the immaculate reception in the playoff game against the Oakland Raiders that ended up, they lost in the AFC Championship, but you can't tell them they ain't deserve to go on to the next round when they won the damn game, all right? If we were dealing in the NFL, dealing with teams that deserve to get wins, the Patriots have no business being in the Super Bowl every single year because they already have one, so they don't deserve to get another one. I know a team that deserves to get one. The Bills deserve to be in the Super Bowl after all they've been through this millennium, but guess what? You gotta win games to get to that point, okay? In the NFC, they have teams that have been struggling left and right. The amount of decimated injuries that the Ravens have been dealing with over the last 4 years, especially in San Diego, or I should say Los Angeles now. They've been decimated with injuries over the last 5 years. Every year they've been losing their best players. This is the first year that they had guys that were actually healthy. They deserve to win a Super Bowl trophy after all that damn team has been through since 81 with the Dan Fouts and the Kellen Winslow and the crew. All right, but guess what? You gotta win games to get deep into the postseason, or even to contend for the postseason, to have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. All right, the game is not based on deserve. Okay, life ain't based on deserve. You gotta earn it. You have to earn it. Nothing is handed to you. Okay, now let me get the hell up out of here, Quiz. This is like what? Well, PS, PSSS, PSSS. Soon enough, I'm gonna start sounding like a goddamn cat. That's it. I'm done. I ain't coming back. Stop the video.